Built tough and well-armed, the Rockwell OV-10 Bronco was intended for counterinsurgency warfare. It was capable of carrying 3 tons of ammo, rockets, machine guns, high-caliber M60 rounds, and even a gun pod. The OV-10 Bronco, in spite of its look, saw service in the Vietnam War with U.S. Marine Corps observation squadrons, Navy Black Horses, and an Air Force Tactical Air Support Squadron. The iconic aircraft demonstrated its strength and adaptability by being utilized in devastating actions against the Middle East even after the conflict. When U.S. military intelligence showed Russian missiles had been deployed on Cuban soil in the early 1960s, the Cold War intensified. John F. Kennedy authorized CIA training for local militias despite his desire to avert a worldwide nuclear war. Cuba's alliance with the Soviet Union was strengthened and their gap with the United States was increased after the unsuccessful 1961 Bay of Pigs assault. This resulted in a nuclear war danger during the 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis. As the Vietnamese government battled Chinese-trained communist insurgents to achieve peace, Kennedy's main worry was the rise of communism. Kennedy was pressured to take military action because U.S. advisors were unable to teach the Vietnamese military, and their efforts were in vain. In order to create a new aircraft for the Vietnam War, former Marine W.H. Beckett and U.S. Marine Corps Lieutenant Colonel K.P. Rice worked together. Their initial idea was to develop a straightforward, tough closer that could outperform helicopters and facilitate ground force operations. They wanted to create a plane that could move as well as the famous Sikorsky R-4 helicopter from World War II, which made its combat debut in Burma in 1944. A prototype that could be used for makeshift air bases with highways serving as runways and short takeoff and landing distances for confined spaces with minimal clearance, such as jungles, was what the Marines had in mind. Compared to jets, the prototype's speed would range from extremely slow to medium subsonic, allowing for extended loiter or flying time. Improved performance would mostly come from turboprop engines. Regarding artillery, Rice and Beckett determined that all guns should be positioned near the middle line for more accurate aiming. They had to wait and see if their plan was practical since they lacked high-caliber guns to test their theories. Beckett collaborated with aircraft firm North American Aviation to market their innovative proposal following the completion of a fiberglass prototype and the creation of an extensive guides. The aircraft's basic characteristics were explained by Rice, along with its military definition of STOL, which permitted takeoff and landing in most regions where limited warfare may be waged. An important turning point in the Vietnam War was reached when North American Aviation acquired the project in early 1963. The U.S. Navy, Air Force, and Army were to use the light-armed reconnaissance aircraft known as the LORA, for which the Pentagon released a tri-service specification in 1963. The specifications asked for observation planes and an attack commanded by jungle fighters to conduct coordinated ground operations with infantry forces in the tropical regions of Asia. With 2 engines and seating for 2 people, the aircraft could transport up to 400 pounds, which included 5 paratroopers, and could travel at a speed of about 350 miles per hour. It had a gun pod with a cannon and 4 7.62 mm M60 machine guns, each holding 500 rounds. The DIY aircraft that Beckett and Rice built was designated OV-10 Bronco by competitor business North American Aviation because of its close air support function and less expensive operational usage as compared to jets and helicopters. The OV-10 Bronco was larger than its initial idea but still had a distinctive appearance after a number of changes. It featured a superb cockpit with ejector seats, could fly for 5 hours with external fuel tanks, and supported short takeoffs and landings. Through modifications, the aircraft was able to carry weaponry on its stub wings and centerline fuselage. This included 4 M60 machine guns, a white phosphorus gun pod, and 4 rockets. These armaments later became the standard equipment for aircraft used in the Vietnam War. Initially deployed by the Marine Corps in 2 observation squadrons from 1968 to 1971, the OV-10 Bronco saw action in the Vietnam War. On board the aircraft, the Marines flew over 38,000 combat hours. The OV-10s were utilized by the U.S. Air Force in Operation Ranch Hand, which was a component of Operation Trail Dust's chemical warfare program. To conduct operations along the Ho Chi Minh Trail, the Broncos were outfitted with night periscopes and paved spot target lizard designator pods. They also backed the launch of the Phantom's laser-guided bombs. In January 1969, the Black Ponies, formerly known as the Light Attack Squadron 4, was established to provide assistance to Marine riverboats, Special Forces, and Navy SEALs conducting operations in enemy territory. Collaborating closely with riverboat units under the Mobile River Forces in the Mekong Delta of southwestern Vietnam, they played a crucial role alongside the Seawolves Volunteer Squadron. During the Vietnam War, the U.S. Navy effectively utilized the OV-10 Bronco, though 64 of the 157 deployed aircraft were lost. Following the war, the Broncos were retired from service. After the United States withdrew from Vietnam in 1975, the OV-10 Broncos, affectionately known as the Old Rugged Broncos, found use in several other countries. They were sold to Colombia, Germany, Indonesia, Morocco, and the Philippines for both military and civilian purposes. In 1990, the Broncos were deployed during Operation Desert Shield and Desert Storm in the Gulf War, where they played a key role in identifying enemy infantry, vehicles, and artillery. They flew over 290 sorties, contributing to the destruction of 50 tanks, 100 vehicles, and 50 artillery positions. The last Broncos were retired in 1995. However, in 2015, NASA restored and upgraded the Broncos with new communications equipment, black boxes, and a 70mm rocket equipped with a laser seeker. These upgraded aircraft were deployed to Iraq to combat ISIS terrorists, flying approximately 130 sorties over a span of 80 days. Central Command credited the Broncos with being vital to the success of Operation Inherent Resolve, the U.S. mission to eradicate the Islamic threat in Iraq and Syria. Experts believe that the Broncos likely operated in coordination with Special Operations Forces conducting missions behind enemy lines or targeting specific individuals. The U.S. Air Force remains open to utilizing the old Broncos in future combat operations, suggesting that their deployment may not be over.